You know, one of the things that I've learned in life, maybe I should write a book of quotes. You know how people say, ati Mungu akipenda hii kitu itanikujia. Kama ni yangu, ni yangu. Well, you got to realize that from the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God has suffered violence. And it's only the violent or the aggressive ones that take it by force. So if you wait for it, chances are you may not get it. He says the violent, the aggressive ones, take it by force. So you got to go out for it. It is yours, for sure. But unless you go for it, it will never come. But you and I are different kind of species, aren't we? We are the kind that go for it. We take it because it was given to us by God. And we take it by force. Well, let's take a look at the newspapers. We have the Daily Nation here. You remember IEBC, the vetting is going on. And yesterday, candidates went through it. We had NJIRI and Amadi, Lorot and Gewa, who faced the panel yesterday. And we'll be showing you some of that. And the Daily Nation today has Uhuru's 26 billion CBC blunder. What blunder was this? It says a 25.8 billion World Bank project to build school infrastructure launched during former President Uhuru Kenyatta's second term has returned to haunt President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza administration as learners continue to suffer, with the taxpayers now set to pay for the past mistakes of state officials. Well, those state officials are in Kenya, right? And if I know it's not the president, there were officials who are given the responsibility to deal with this. Since they're still in Kenya, I mean, we can be able to recover some of these things, right? And then you have Waitito, former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waitito has grown tired of the monotonous headcounts before daybreak in the afternoon and at sundown during the warders shift changes. This should be an interesting story. Waitito recounting the experiences gotten in jail. Kupet coup on NAT at 46,000 JS teachers join union, but with big demands. Now Kupet is going to become the biggest union as, you know, the JS junior secondary school teachers join it. I remember the formulative days of Kupet. I can remember the gentleman who started it off, the one who was the Secretary General. I'll remember his name. When it was one of those two things, kando hapo, that looks like it's not going to become. But look at it now. From power to prison, Waitito's diary, isolation, and what? Isolation and the lessons. Then we got Raila's influence rises as he meets envoys and ministers. Uhuruto handshake that never was, signed of strained ties after 2024 truce. And then you have Gathoni wa Mushomba saying my beef with Ruto and why Gachagua should go beyond Mount Kenya. And then we got the back page of the Nation. MP summon CBK boss Tuge over high bank loan rates, NSSF bond deals. And then dangers of IEBC job, past ghosts as interviews start. You got the picture of NJIRI there. It's pretty interesting. This NJIRI guy doesn't seem to have aged. Doesn't seem to have aged an inch. It's only his hair that has become white. But the dude just looks the same way he looked a couple of years back. And then the Standard, goons on rampage. If you saw what happened to MP Salasia at the stadium over the weekend, it's an unfortunate thing. And they say a growing wave of targeted attacks against government critics is spreading across the country, defying the very essence of law and order. The perpetrators, poor bold goons, often chant slogans in support of top politicians as police stand and watch. It says this trend has raised concern that Kenya's democratic space is shrinking and dissenting voices facing greater threats. Sad, eh? Then court lifts orders barring Nairobi Hospital from borrowing 4.2 billion. And then you got a situation here. A police officer shot his friend 7 times over a pool game dispute. Okay. Then must go in clubs, must go in sports events. What in the world is this? A wave of discontent is sweeping across the country with Ruto must go chants echoing in political and non-political rallies. I did say sometime that President William Ruto is going to have the biggest fight of his life if he's going to win the 2027 election. There's just a wave of, how do I term it? Discontent over the state of life today. Some caused by his government, some that have nothing to do with his government. And these are causing people to say Ruto must go. I would not be surprised if I saw a husband and a wife whose marriage is coming to an end, chanting in their house, Ruto must go. I mean, blaming him for everything that is going wrong. And then you have the picture of the gentlemen that were grilled yesterday for IEBC. You have the Director of Legal Services at the Trans Nzoia County Assembly, Edward Ngeya. Then the former Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Anna Madi. Then you have the Chief Magistrate at Naivasha Law Courts, Abdul Garir Lorot. Then you also have the former Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, Charles Nyachai. So that's the kind of headlines that we have today. We go for a short break, and then we are going to take a video look at some of those stories. Let's take that break right now.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Okay, welcome back. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson candidate Anna Madi cleared her name from an alleged involvement in a gold scandal. In the case involving Amadi acting on behalf of a law firm and associates illegally obtained over 89 million shillings for gold that they never supplied. During her vetting by the IEBC election panel, the former Chief Registrar of the Judiciary said that she resigned from the sued law firm, Amadi and Associate Advocates, in 2024. 2014 rather, and she has no connection with the scandal. She maintained that those accusing her were fabricating lies to tarnish her name and integrity. The IEBC selection panel began interviews yesterday to fill the position of chairperson after 11 candidates were shortlisted.
I don't know whether it's because I'm used to it, but I know that I've been tested and I have been tried, and I've undertaken high voltage national processes relating to the transition of 2 presidents in this country. And I did it successfully under immense pressure. I never lost my composure. I never lost my comportment, and it's because I have a very high self-awareness. And for as long as I'm following the rule of law, it really doesn't matter. I applied knowing that IEBC is one of the most vilified institutions in this country, either as by way of perception or whether it's real, whether the things that IEBC is accused of are true or not true. I can't sit here and say that this is what they did wrong, but I know that I'm able to take pressure, and I know that I have very high emotional intelligence.
After Amadi, Charles Aya Konya Chai, one of the 11 shortlisted candidates, also appeared before the vetting panel, dispelling sentiments that he was a state candidate, terming them scandalous. Nyachai also said that the allegation lacked basis and are meant to taint his image. He also set the record straight on why he resigned from the East African Court of Justice as a judge, explaining that the court hardly executed its mandate due to financial constraints.
I'm very clear in my mind that none of those allegations have any basis whatsoever. And really, Chair, unless members of the panel wish to ask me specific follow-up questions on that, which I will be happy to answer, I consider the entire memorandum as being motivated by ill will for reasons that I don't know, and not being supported by the truth. But if members have anything specific they wish to ask, I have no problem.
Any knowledge of you being a state candidate?
A state candidate for this job? No. I'm not sure what a state candidate is, but I made this decision to run. You know, Mr. Chairman, when somebody talks about a state candidate, they're actually insulting this panel. You're the people who are going to decide who among the people that you have interviewed you are going to recommend to the appointing authority. So the idea of a state candidate is foreign to me.
Well, at the same time, a magistrate who's seeking to become the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has assured the selection panel that he will resign from his current position if appointed. Abdulkadir Lorod told the IEBC selection panel that there is precedent for serving state officers resigning from their position once confirmed for a new public office. Lorod is currently the chief magistrate at the Naivasha Law Court and has served in the judiciary for 23 years, including as a judicial trainer.
We give the public looks at us as the ones who we are the face of the commission, and I think that should not stop. The face of the institution should be represented by the chair and the commissioners. That should not stop because that is the face of the institution. But the institution functions through the secretariat. They are what we call support services. So what happens is that it is through creating defined roles. We have to go back. We have to go back. But if I'm appointed, if the committee, the panel recommends that I become chair, one of the first things on the tray would be to ensure that these roles are clearly defined and we get into the recommendations by the Supreme Court that we have clear guidelines on corporate governance. I'm sure there are documents by IEBC. I'm sure they have not been sleeping. They have been preparing these documents is to look at what has been happening and where there is gaps, how to now improve them. But the communication of everything about the commission should be left now to the chair, so that if there are issues that are for communication, the chair can delegate this function. But for communication of serious aspects of the commission should be left so that the public is aware we are procuring. When we say we are procuring, it's not that the chair is procuring. It is the commission that is procuring through various committees. You would have perhaps a chair of that committee for procurement would be a commissioner who is well versed in aspects of procurement or public finance. And therefore, when they are making the recommendations through their panel papers to the commission, it comes to us and then we approve, or we make changes, or we say these are issues we now need to go and negotiate with finance so that there is disbursement of funds. And I think that is how a proper system works.
Now, ahead of his anticipated tour of the Mount Kenya region in the coming days, President William Ruto and Deputy President Kithure Kindiki met governors from the region in a movement to quell political temperatures in the region following the ouster of Rigathi Gachagua. The meeting was also attended by cabinet secretaries and top leadership of the government from the region. At the head of state's tour of the region is a huge litmus test following the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who turned foe from friend and is keen on sending the president packing in 2027. Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justine Muturi confirmed that he will not be accompanied President William Ruto on his upcoming development tour. NJIRI Governor Mutahi Kahiga was also conspicuously missing from the meeting at State House. It will be very interesting to see how that goes down in Mount Kenya. I hope they give him a rousing welcome and we don't have, violence and that kind of stuff. Now, weeks after a High Court ruling declaring Azimio la Umoja as the defunct majority in Parliament and not Kenya Kwanza, and subsequent appeal in court, legal representatives of the Speaker, Moses Wetangula, have broken their silence concerning the ruling and the decision by the Speaker to retain Kenya Kwanza as a majority. The lawyer also stated that there is no adverse order requiring the Speaker to relinquish his position as the Ford Kenya Party leader or as Speaker of the National Assembly.
The decision or the ruling of the Speaker made in February regarding the current state of who is a majority party in the National Assembly remains, and which is the Kenya Kwanza Alliance remains the majority party. Secondly, that the question of whether the Speaker should continue holding his position, one, as a Speaker of the National Assembly, and secondly, as a core principle in the Kenya Kwanza coalition and a party leader of Ford Kenya, still remains that there's absolutely no adverse order that has been made requiring the Speaker to relinquish any of those positions. And therefore, we do not expect any confusion on what the Court of Appeal said, neither do we expect any confusion on the political leaders' position in the country as regards the Kenya Kwanza coalition, as well as other coalitions or players in the country. What the Court of Appeal said is that yes, it has noted that there are serious grounds of appeal that had been raised by the National Assembly challenging the decision of the High Court. And one of the grounds that have been raised is the question of whether the High Court would have been right in saying that when Kenyans go to the ballot, for instance, in this case, in August 2022, whatever decision they made regarding the MPs and their respective political party coalitions, that position remains static. In other words, it does not change at any point in time prior to the next election or in between until the next elections are held. Now, the position we've taken to the Court of Appeal is this, that decision or that thinking cannot be right.
Well, as food insecurity deepens in Kakuma refugee camp, a recent donation by humanitarian organization Rahama Worldwide has brought temporal reprieve to 100,000 struggling families, both refugee and host community. The donations, which include essential food items and water tanks, comes at a time when refugees are feeling the harsh effects of a new U.S. aid policy that has led to significant funding cuts to key refugee programs. Kakuma refugee camp is home to over 200,000 displaced people and has long depended on aid from international donors to meet basic needs such as food, water, and healthcare. However, the implementation of the new U.S. aid policy has reduced the level of support, causing food rations to shrink and straining services already stretched thin.
Mbele tulikuwa tunapokea vitu vingi. Mbele tulikuwa tunapokea sabuni, tulikuwa tunapokea chumvi, tulikuwa tunapokea hata adesi, uji, kuni. Hivyo vyote tulikuwa tunapokea, lakini hivi hatuvipati. Na kila kitu kinapunguka sana, na hivyo venye tunabakia navyo vinapunguka sana mpaka mwisho. Na kuko wengine venye habana hata maisha hii. Kwanza mungekuwa mnaenda kuangalia watu nyumbani. Ngoja kwanza tuingie nyumbani kwako. Wengine wataweza kutoa machozi zitaweza kutoka. Ndio venye huko naishi hivi. Tuko tunaishi maisha ya tabani. Venye tuko tunaishi. Ndio hivyo. Na tunataka hivi machungu hatuna. Wala hiyo mikeka hatuna. Ni vitu vingi masahani hatuna. Hiyo manyumba sasa ndio siseme sasa. Manyumba imoja ishabomoka. Sasa mie hivi kwa ngambo yangu. Nyumba yangu mie jameni nishakuwa mpo inga hivi. Sijue sasa wa kunigomboa. Na nyinyi ndio wa kutugomboa nyinyi masirika. Mko wapi masirika? Msilale. Mkilala msingizi sisi tunakufa.
Shukuru Mungu kwa sababu hii shirika limekuja kutusaidia vyombo vya kutunza maji. Kwa sababu shida ya maji ni mingi sana. Naweza tukamaliza wiki mbili bila kupata maji. Kwa kweli nashukuru sana, sijui niongeeje. Nashukuru kwa walitusaidia. Kwa ombi langu naomba hii shirika imetusaidia lirudia tena lijifikiria na kwa watu wengine wajapata ili wapate. Na tunakaa hapa ni kwa janga, hatulimi, hatufanyi biashara, lakini wakitusaidia na hapo tunaomba hii shirika na likitufikia mbele kwa UNHCR au kwa serikali likatuombea ili tutolewe hapa tupeleke kwa nchi zingine, na hapo tutashukuru Mungu. Yote tunaiweka kwa mikono ya Mungu kwa sababu naona hapa tunakaa kwa tatizo kubwa.
That's how situations are. I don't know. I heard somewhere somebody saying that, some of the refugees at Kakuma camp are going to be given IDs. I don't know how true that is, but I don't think so. Lugari Member of Parliament Nabi Nabwera has lauded President William Ruto's recent reshuffle of principal secretaries, particularly welcoming the transfer of Dr. Belio Kipsang from the Ministry of Education to the Ministry of Immigration. Speaking in Itumbu Chekalini ward during the launch of a road rehabilitation project linking Musembe, Konambaya, and Itumbu, Nabwera criticized Kipsang, describing him as a major obstacle to progress in the education sector. The legislator also voiced dissatisfaction with the Teachers' Service Commission's promotion process, arguing that its current approach does not align with the interests of the teachers or the overall development of the sector.
Belio was running a cartel. Nataka niambie Bitok ule anaingia. Kuna vifaranga ya Belio hapo. Akitaka afanye kazi lazima atoe hiyo watu. Bitok, if you want to succeed, you must remove all the cartels that worked with Belio. Hata kuna kijana kutoka Western alipewa kuwa acting CEO wa Kenya Literature Bureau. Belio akamlazimisha aandike barua ya kukataa akaenda kuleta mtu ya kwao anaita Kibeta, alikuwa ameretire, akaweka yeye kwa ofisi. Beli alikuwa mtu mzuri kweli? Nataka niambie Bitok, you need to regularize the appointment of Mr. Jumba, kijana kutoka pale Chevakali, arudishiwe nafasi yake.
Meanwhile, Interior Principal Secretary Dr. Raymond Omolo has assured the countries of the government's commitment to finding a lasting solution to border disputes along the Narok, Migori and Kisii counties. While speaking in Kuria West during a fund drive to support women in the region, the Interior CS said that the government must putting up administrative mechanism on the vast disputed land along the border of the three counties as a lasting measure to end the conflicts in the region. On the other hand, he joined Migori County Governor Ochilo Ayako and other political leaders from both ODM and UDA who were present at the event in lauding the pact between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga.
Tulikuwa na kikao na wazee na walikuwa na memorandum yao na tulikubaliana tutafuatilia utaratibu ili tukue na usalama mzuri kwa hiyo boda yetu na Narok County. Na kwa sasa kuna utulivu imepatikana. Tunataka, we need to sustain that peace. There is a border area, there is an expansive piece of land which we are engaging the leaders of both counties, actually the three counties, the counties of Migori, Narok and Kisii, so that we have a proper mechanism of administering that area so that Kenyans from those three counties can go about their lives uninterrupted. Ongeza Rais William Ruto na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga kukubali kufanya kazi ili nchi iende mbele. Hawa viongozi wametuonyesha mfano mzuri. Tunataka viongozi wafanye kwa ukaribu ndio wananchi wapate maendeleo. Tulimaliza mambo ya uchaguzi. Tupatie viongozi nafasi watuhudumie.
Nasikia wale watu wa chuki, wale wako mlimani, wale wako na serikali kila siku ama kila wakati wakisema Ruto aende nyumbani. Nyinyi mama, mkizaa mtoto ambayo ni 3 years, siapewe nafasi ya kuwe. Basi Rais wetu Ruto apewe nafasi apate 10 years.
Well, with that, we bring down the curtains on the show. Do have yourself a lovely morning. Remember, at 9, we got Your Faith Today, discussing some of the things that affect your faith. We'll have a minister of the Word of God that you don't want to miss out on, and some great praise and worship. And then at 2 p.m., we'll have Manukato with Teddy and DJ Show. So you don't want to miss that. A lot of good stuff coming up. Do have yourself a lovely morning.